to, yeah. But the haze is far too thick, and all the hairs run far too quick. For your little shell, your own private hell, you wanna be someone inside to tell. You get what you get, so they say. You live and let live, it's easy. I'll take what I need, 'cause I'm too lazy. Caught up in the crowd, you're berated. Everything that you do is belated. An excuse might buy you time, but the more you spend, yeah, the less you find. It's not a case of who has what or who has not. You take a look at how they got it. You tell them put your hands in your pocket. We're getting on it. You get what you get, so they say. You live and let live, it's easy. I'll take what I need, 'cause I'm too lazy. You tell me I could, and I probably should. And yeah, you know what I would, but I'm too lazy. You get what you get, so they say. You live and let live, it's easy. I'll take what I need, 'cause I'm too lazy. They tell me I could, and I probably should. And yeah, you know what I would, but I'm too lazy. 'Cause I'm too lazy. And I'm too lazy, yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to the UK Independent Podcast Special with the Outcharms. Evening, boys.
How we doing? All right.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So, over this special, we've got a few questions for you. We're going to find out a little bit more about the Outcharms, and then we're going to play some tracks, which hopefully you'll be able to talk us through.
Buzzing.
Okay, so first question then. How did the Outcharms meet?
Well, we sort of all met at school. I remember about year 8. I had a Stone Roses jumper on at a school disco, and Ross come up to me and started laughing. Said that he'd seen him twice. They'd got back together the year before. So, and then said he'd seen him twice, and I'd not seen him. And sort of heard he played guitar. No one else in our year played guitar. So we become mates. And then I had a couple of people play me us, but it never really worked out. And then Ross and Matty learned to play. Well, no, Shay and Matty learned to play drums and bass just because we were all mates and we all wanted to be in a band. So that's how it all stemmed from here, really.
So you guys were playing the instruments, and then sorry, Shane and Matty, did you say then? Learned to play
Yeah,
drums?
Shay and Matty play bass and drums.
Nice. You've been going for about 5 years then?
Yeah, about that now. It seems like ages, but we're only 19, going on 20, so we've been at it since we were 13, 14.
Yeah, our first gig was about 5 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5 years ago since we first played live, so it's mad.
Was it? Nice. Was that in Doncaster then, the first gig?
Yeah, funnily enough, it were at a cheerleaders presentation party.
Cheerleaders presentation, and you boys turn up playing.
Yeah, rock and roll. Yeah, well, we got the grand total of about £8.62.
That rough a thingy, wasn't it?
In a box, and
we all wore matching.
And we all wore matching T-shirts with his names on the back.
Brilliant. Being Yorkshire lads, then you're from Doncaster.
Yeah, proudly.
I'm going to take you across to Sheffield. Best Sheffield band, the Arctics or Pulp?
Well, difficult because like there's two different eras, and I think you only appreciate Pulp really properly when you get a little bit older and you can sort of understand what Jarvis is sort of talking about. But Monkeys are a massive influence, especially for me. Probably the reason I picked the guitar up. But like they were definitely a band that tied us all together. But I think Pulp, as you get older and you get more into Pulp, you understand like how brilliant they are. So it's an hard choice, but we're going to have to go Monkeys on that one, I think.
I'd agree with you on that. I know what you're saying in terms of like, yeah, because Monkeys are closer to our generation, but Pulp were, well, an amazing band, and like when you listen to some of their records, yeah,
it's unbelievable. Yeah,
we're gonna play now your first tune, and it's called Right Crowd. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that song?
It weren't the first song we wrote. Funnily enough, it come a little bit later, but we were doing a lot of cover sets at the time.
So when you were doing covers, what were you doing?
We were opening with it, and like in the midst of all the, we were just doing like Cortina's Oasis and just like cover sets. But like we did a Battle of the Bands, and we opened with that, and people assumed it were a cover. And they were talking about it, and we were like, no, that's our own tune. And then like we were getting a bit behind it. We thought, well, maybe we should put that out first, and probably the best decision we could have made at the time, really.
You're all black and no bright, but it's alright, 'cause we know it.
So what's the favourite gig that you've played so far? And which venue was it?
What we saying on that, lads? Leadmill.
Probably Leadmill, yeah.
Was that recently? Was that just before?
Yeah, that was the last one we did before all this happened.
Right.
Managed to be like the last. So like one of the last big gigs, like sort of around where we are, really. And we never expected to sell it out. Sherlock's were playing the same night, like O2 Academy, and we still managed to sell it out. There were people selling Sherlock's tickets to come and watch us instead, which were mad.
Feeling that, because the Leadmill's a great venue.
Like that had happened.
Like an indie institution, isn't it? And I remember I went to see. I'd not been to Sheffield for probably about 8 years, and I went 2 years ago. I went to see the vaccines at the academy, and we were going around a few bars in Sheff after, and we went to the Leadmill, and I was, oh yeah, come on, we'll go in here. And the bouncer goes, do you know what's on tonight? And I said, no. He said, it's Ortiz out of JLS. I was like, what? We've come to the Leadmill and Ortiz out of JLS.
Yeah, we'd have gone straight in for that, to be fair.
We're going to play your track Talk now. And do you want to tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, so that's a massively important tune, like for us and for people who like it, who listen to it. Really, the music before we wrote that song, we were about for like 3 years, but we could never really find anything that went with it. It all just sort of come together. I was just sort of seeing things that were happening with my mates and people around me, and like mental health was becoming a lot more of a prevalent thing around that time. And I think a lot of people were talking about it a bit more, but not really in our sphere of influence were people talking about it. So we thought, well, we should talk about it. Just because no one else is doing it, it don't mean that we shouldn't do it. And I think we were like one of the first bands to probably around our way to make a song about something like that. And we're still immensely proud of it.
And I look in your eye once too often, or maybe twice, yeah. Tonight's alright, I'll say the cigarette drags, but the stance tells me otherwise. And a heart's of gold and a scuff on your pride, and an innocence lost to a compromise, unsure as to why you feel this way, just another price they make you pay. So the fear of things that you can't change runs riot in your mind, and it can't be tamed in this lies, no hope in this lies, no shame. You must realize that you're not to blame. Going out around here, staying in, can we talk about the times we've had and the times that we live in? No. It's getting harder to face the day, forcing myself to speak what I can't say. The loudest mouth with the smallest crying, I'm sweet, I'm just tired. Jukeboxes and double mixers, let's all chip in on for Mr. Fixer. A break from a date with Debbie Downer, the frowns all around in the town that surrounds you. Going out around here, staying in, can we talk about the times we've had and the times that we live in? Wish I could sell out the sun at the end of the day, disappeared into outer space. Peace of mind seems like a piece of cake, but I can't get mine, too much on my plate. and tomorrow always comes. When it does, open the curtain, sing when you're alone. Cry if you need to, talk 'cause you must. I won't turn my back when the times get tough and the nights get rough. And enough is enough, and you've got to come down once you've come up. All I'm saying is don't judge your book. The pages inside might not add up.
Like you say, when you write a song like that and your audience are listening and they might not be able to feel like they can open up, but when they hear you guys almost offering advice or they can feel like it's easier to open up. So it's important that bands tackle these issues.
Yeah, definitely, but it's not like, because like you'll get bands like us will get tied in with like a lad rock guitar band like indie thing, and that don't mean you still shouldn't talk about stuff like that. That's a bit of an ignorant point of view if you think that you should.
And you know, if we can help each other and help society, and you know, people might not be feeling all right, but you know, it's like, I mean, the campaign's been around for a while, haven't it? You know, it's good to talk, and you know, it's definitely portraying that message and getting that message across.
Yeah, definitely.
If you boys could step into any other band in history, even if it's for one gig, whose place would you take?
We had a bit of a discussion about this just before we come on. And what did you say, Ross?
I said Stone Roses at Spike Island. Obviously, there's rumours of it being like windy and not being a great sound and stuff on the day, but just for the event and just to say you were there, I think that's like one of the...
I mean, it's just been the 30th anniversary, hasn't it? And
yeah,
like you say, if you were at that gig 30 years on,
I'm jealous of people.
Yeah, it's just that connection with everyone else that was there and the band as well. Because I mean, you know, when they went on stage that night, they were possibly the biggest band, definitely in the UK, and you know, possibly one of the biggest bands in the world that night.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's other gigs, like cult gigs that would have been like Verve at AOL. That would have been a good. That were like coming together of an hometown of a town. There's not many bands from Wigan. There's not many bands from Doncaster. So like, to have a massive gig in a small town like where we're from, that'd be good. Something like that, I suppose.
Okay, so we're going to play your tune now, Lazy. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this track?
This come together quite easily, Ross, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it came about, actually. I think we were just messing about one day, jamming in rehearsal, and I think the chords were just came up with the chords there and then.
It was the quickest song we've ever written, but
it took about two.
It literally took like, probably 2 sessions, where like stuff usually takes us months. But that comes together really quickly, and it's different to what else we've done by that point. To come back with that, we're great.
Who does the songwriting then? So is it a shared thing, or?
Yeah, well, we all just, so I do words, and then Ross does guitar. We all just sort of do as individual instruments and throw stuff in and offer ideas. We're all shit at it, so we just throw in together what we can.
No, I definitely wouldn't say that, boys. No, you've got some banging tunes. As we can tell, you guys are proud Yorkshire lads. So this question may be a bit pointless because Yorkshire or Lancashire, and us at the Independent UK Music Podcast, we're 3 proud Lancashire lads. So tell us, what makes Yorkshire special? What's special about that white rose? Come on.
Well, it's not really that we choose Yorkshire over Lancashire, because we've all, like 3 out of 4 of us moved to Manchester for uni. So like, we do love Manchester. It's like, and like Lancashire's it's always been a massive influence on us, and that's where we live now. That's where we record. So Lancashire's got a big influence on us, but you know what I mean, to be Yorkshire, born and bred, that's just like, we don't want to be anywhere else, would we, lads? Can you all agree with that?
So you guys are all actually in Manchester then, are you?
Yeah, well, 3 out of 4 of us are, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We're living there for Union. That's where we record.
I could have met you.
Oh yeah. Well, definitely we'll arrange something.
Oh yeah, defo. When we should be moving back up there in September if there's not a second wave and all that shit. We'll be able to go for a pint without like having to book a table and
track and trace. Well, hopefully, hopefully all that's gone by then.
But yeah, like back to the question, Yorkshire's just like that's what we've grown up with. It's like, well, it's like a way of life. It's like the way we look at situations and the way we write music, and
Yeah, definitely.
we've never known anything other than that. I suppose the same as you being Lancashire lads. That's just your outlook on life.
Yeah, and I must admit, I mean, obviously there's a rivalry, you know, that goes back obviously to the War of the Roses, but I think Yorkshire and Lancashire, I think they're very close in terms of their outlook and what they stand for, and like you say, Manchester's had an influence on you, and you know, like I think about Yorkshire music, you know, like we've just discussed, Arctic Monkeys, Pulp, it's always been sort of close to my heart as well, and it's a beautiful county. Like you've got some really
definitely
in Yorkshire.
Yeah, with some nice pubs.
Yeah, yes.
But yeah, like I think it's more north and south than Manchester v or Lancashire v Yorkshire. North v south. We'll back that one.
if it's a Saturday night and you're having a few pre-drinks, which Outcharms tune is perfect before the big one on a Saturday night? I love Can You Keep Up With The Act. I'd be throwing that one, having a couple of cold San Miguel's.
Posh beer. You got plenty of money then, haven't you?
So, what's your beer of choice then? Go on.
Fucking hell, whatever's below £3.
Where's that from? That's Yorkshire, isn't it? I tell you what, you only need 3 pints of that.
2 pints of San Miguel, I'd be in bed, mate. But yeah, we had a word about this earlier. We'll probably think we've got a tune called "What the Weekend Sees," which a lot of people, that's sort of about going out and stuff like that. So I imagine that's probably a good one to get. All of them, other than talk's a little bit deep, 13's a little bit deep, but just literally stick us on shuffle, right?
We'll recommend talk.
Get the streams up, have a couple of beers, and then you should be ready. All of them.
What the Weekend Sees. I'm going to play that after this interview.
Yeah, losing the name, I suppose.
Okay then. So before we end, tell us. I mean, obviously, it's been difficult with the lockdown, but hopefully, in the future months, once we can play gigs again, what does the future hold for the Outcharms? You've told us before that you've recently headlined and sold out the Lead Mill. What's next?
Well, our plans. We've not really stopped. We've not been able to get together and practice, but we've still not stopped working at planning stuff. And we had a gig at Castle Hotel in Manchester that's been postponed. That's probably going to be next year now. But we're adamant we're going to do that. We're not going to cancel it. We're going to reschedule it again. And
good venue.
We've been writing.
Good venue.
We've been writing today. Yeah, sick. We're writing today, and we just keep writing. And we've got the plans are in place. We're able to get back in the studio about August time, and everything's in place for us. But we don't want to give away too much, but yeah, it's this should have been our biggest year. Well, obviously everything's happened, but that's not stopped us. Next year will be his biggest year. They're going to have to do more than that to stop us.
That's it, and that's the kind of spirit. Obviously, lockdown did happen. Have you guys maybe looked at any avenues of social media? Like we've seen, Liam throughout the Cortinas has been doing Instagram gigs, hasn't he? And people have been on Twitter. Have you guys got together and done anything maybe out of the ordinary that you wouldn't have done before?
It's been difficult getting together. We only managed to get back together last week. So
maybe even virtually get together, or we've
been in terms of writing for the first time in 5 years. In terms of writing songs, we've been doing stuff on GarageBand and sending demos to each other and working from stuff on his own. Where usually we'd not write anything until we all got together. So in terms of writing, the approach has changed massively.
Yeah, definitely, and you might find some different results from that because, like you say, if you've been working on a piece on your own, and then
maybe so because it's the tunes that we're most proud of, probably the tunes that we're writing at the minute, and maybe that's all stemmed out of the new approach.
Looking ahead then, hopefully before the end of the year, you'll be putting on some more gigs. And when's the next music scheduled then, like an EP or about the first, the album? Or
Oof, well,
that's a big one, isn't it?
We don't want to give away that much, but it's a big one. But there will probably be a single before the year's out. I'd like to say. I'll put my money on it.
Okay. Well, we look forward to hearing it. We reckon that you are one of Yorkshire's hottest new talents.
No, we are Yorkshire's hottest new talent.
Definitely. And we've been championing you a bit on this show, and we've been very thankful because you did the Sunday sessions for us last week, and long may that continue.
It's been a pleasure to be involved, lads. Cheers for getting in touch and having us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and when you've got that new single out, send it over and we'll be playing it on the podcast.
You'll be the first to hear it, lads. Don't worry about it.
Nice one. Thanks a lot. Cheers, the Outcharms.
Pleasure. Cheers for having us.
Cheers.
And as it flickers, yeah, she'll dance and make it seem like some sort of clue. The closer it gets, the further it slips. A rose with a thorn, a writer with a kiss. A doubt so unfounded, it makes him sick. So back of his mind, up the bar for the drink. On the outside looking, when are you gonna let me in? Yeah, my article in the daily paper. I think the printer's made a mistake, because just when I think I've cracked it, I couldn't be further away. I try getting a second opinion, but they all tell me it's all part of the fun. I bet you giggle as they attempt. I bet so many thought they'd won. On the outside looking